Back at y'all with some more boxing news and updates. You already know this your boy Love One to Hate One. Let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. Now this one right here, this is a juicy one. Because a lot of people don't know, I think this fight is going to eventually happen. A lot of people don't know Terrence Crawford and Gervonta Davis, they have been slightly beefing for a while now. And Gervonta Davis been the main one starting the shit. I'm going to give you guys a full inside scoop. I don't know, is it because Gervonta Davis always been riding with Errol Spence? I don't know, is it because Terrence Crawford always has been riding with Shakur Stevenson? And he says he feels like Tank beats everybody except Shakur Stevenson. He feel like that's the fight that Tank is going to be in for a rude awakening. As you guys can see, Gervonta Davis has been talking crap ever since, well, I'm not going to say ever since the Errol Spence fight, but he's back to talking his shit to Terrence Crawford after the Errol Spence fight. Maybe he feels like, I'm going to do this for my boy Errol. But this is not the first time, you guys, as I said earlier. It all started with Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson sparred with Terrence Crawford multiple times. And I remember Shakur Stevenson tried to tell Tank something like, man, look, I'm sparring with guys like Lomachenko, Terrence Crawford, some of the pound for pound greats. Who the fuck are you sparring with? This is Shakur getting at Gervonta Davis, but that's a whole nother story. Gervonta Davis is basically letting Shakur Stevenson know, man, you sitting here bragging about sparring with Lomachenko and sparring with Crawford, but I will knock all three of you guys out. Cold, too. He was like, nigga, you ain't special because you sparring with two guys that I knock out. That boy, Tank is wild. Tank feel like he can stop everybody. He used to go at Bradley. He even went at Sean Porter before. They cool now, but he even told Sean Porter, don't get it twisted. I hit hard, and I could put these big boys down. Keep in mind, you guys, Gervonta Davis be in there sparring with heavyweights, light heavyweights, and he be holding his own and hurting these guys. So it's not really a stretch, but we're going to talk about that a little more later. So Terrence Crawford got whiff of everything that Gervonta Davis was saying that he'll beat up him, Lomachenko, on any given night. Terrence Crawford is like, man, you's a young pup, stay in your lane. You're not ready, it's levels to this shit. And that's when Tank told Terrence Crawford, like, man, Lil Gamboa had you doing the stanky leg. If he had you doing the stanky leg, just imagine what I would do to you. And Terrence Crawford didn't like that. All right? Let me tell you guys this, man. I remember after Tank fought Gervonta Gamboa, he tried to compare his performance against Terrence Crawford's performance against Gamboa, which really didn't make that much sense because if you think about it, Gervonta Gamboa, when he fought Terrence Crawford, he was basically undefeated. He hasn't been in a whole bunch of wars yet. He was real hungry. He had 50 Cent on his side. Terrence Crawford faced a Gamboa that, in all actuality, he had a very good chance to beat Terrence Crawford. Yeah, Terrence Crawford won because he was just a better man on that night. But that Gamboa could have beat a lot of fighters. He was quick, very powerful, at foot speed. He can brawl and box. Gervonta Gamboa was a problem. And even though he probably couldn't beat Terrence Crawford, he could have beat any fighter, especially that night when we're talking about 140, with the exception of maybe Terrence Crawford. And I personally feel like, if, not saying that Gamboa would have won, but if Tank would have fought that Gamboa that Terrence Crawford fought, it would have been a totally different fight. And I'm going to go as far as saying that it won't surprise me if Gamboa was able to hurt Tank or even beat Tank. Now, for all the slow people out there, I'm not saying that Tank would have lost that fight. I think Tank would have won. Probably would have did better than Terrence. But this is boxing. And I'm just letting you guys know, my point is that Gamboa was a problem. So I'm just saying that to say this. Tank and Crawford, like I said earlier, these guys has been beefing with each other for a while now. It's not real beef, like the type of beef like when I see in the streets, it's all type of beef, but it's the type of beef that's like, motherfucker, we can fight. Tank is dead serious. He's not trolling with Terrence Crawford when he say this shit. Gervonta Davis is a star as it is, so it's not like he need Terrence Crawford for clout. I know shit like that. If that was the case, he'll go at Floyd or Canelo or guys that's bigger than Terrence Crawford. Shit, Errol. Like, you know? But at the end of the day, you guys, I'm letting you guys know, this is real. I see some people try to think that Tank is just trolling. Shit, probably Terrence Crawford. No, I don't think Terrence Crawford think that Tank is trolling because, like I said, they've been going at it for years. Now let's talk about the actual fight. This fight right here, I feel like it's a good fight, y'all. Yeah, you got Terrence Crawford, who's a bigger guy, taller guy, etc. But Tank is used to facing tall guys. I understand Terrence Crawford is way better than he was when he fought Gamboa. But that was the only guy to give Terrence Crawford some problems. I mean, you can argue that Gamboa won the first 3-4 rounds against Crawford, and Tank can do what Gamboa can do times 1,000. The in and out, the hand speed, even more power than Gamboa. And I personally feel like Gamboa had two biggest problems on this side. Gamboa didn't have the best conditioning, and Gamboa didn't have the best chin. I personally feel like Tank got good conditioning and Tank got a chin. And Tank is not a small 135 pounder. I feel like dude can make 140, 147. Yeah, he might be small when it comes down to height, but Tank is pretty solid when it comes down to weight, y'all. That's why I felt like he could have easily fought Ryan Garcia at 140. But you guys do remember Tank was talking about fighting at 147 against Keith Thurman. So let's not act like this is a stretch. Like he hasn't been talking about fighting at 147 before. I know Terrence Crawford is talking about going up to 154, but I think he can make an exception for a Tank because that's a mega fight, big payday for Terrence Crawford. And if Crawford want to be a pay-per-view star like he talked about being before, a fight like this, and he will have to win, by the way, because I give Tank a shot in this fight. But if Terrence Crawford beats Tank, a lot more people is going to know him. Shit, maybe, who knows, maybe one day down the future, you could fight Ryan Garcia at 147. But I don't think nobody would want to see that. But Tank versus Crawford is a good fight. Somebody's always got to go. You know somebody's getting knocked out in that fight. And I personally feel it's not a mismatch like people think. But that's my thoughts on this shit. I am out.